Okay. Seem to remember we left off at a Mishnah. No? Left off at a Mishnah at the Mishnah on Mem Zayin.
Right. Zayin
and Aleph. Okay.
The Mishnah is right from all of Raj's. You go to Kari Care, you say if you enter here, you have permission and you take all responsibility if any of these things happen to you. It's really quite scary, but they got it from his own risk. Yeah, your own risk, and you pay something happens to you. Or it says stay out, danger to your life.
Very good. Okay, so Mem Zayin Amud Aleph by the Mishnah, 47a. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's less of a learning we should have. Beis Hamikdash. Goes like this. It's recording. Hakadar shehichnes kedireisa lachatzer balabaya shleibishus. This happens when you have guests that that leave their like you just hold like 3 suitcases for me, you know, or something, and that goes on for like 2 years.
Everyone has their shit in the house.
So at a certain point, can you please come pick up your stuff? Anyway, this is a potter, and he leaves his pots in someone's courtyard without permission. So there's some time. The owner of the courtyard, his animals end up. His animals end up. End up breaking these pots. So he's potter. The owner of the courtyard is potter because those pots weren't supposed to be there anyway. But it doesn't mean that the owner is allowed to break them directly. Yeah, they got broken. They got broken. He never accepted responsibility for them, so he's potter. But let's say they caused the damage, and the animal got hurt, the owner got hurt. So then Balakader is chayav. His pots caused damage, so he has to pay for the damages that it caused in this person's property. Why does he have to pay for those damages? That's a discussion in Rishonim. Is it because of the pit, or is it because it's Adam Amazik, because he was supposed to be guarding that property of his? If the owner says, yeah, you can leave them here, just put them in the corner, you know, something like that, then Balachatzer Chayev, the owner of the courtyard, is going to be responsible if they break. Because he said that you can leave them here. Now, this is going to be a machlekes Rabbanan and Rebbe. The Rabbanan hold that whenever someone says, yes, you can leave them here, that means I'm going to take care of it also. And Rebbe holds that no, just because you said you can leave it here, doesn't mean that you're going to take care of it. Yeah. See, like a really frum yeshiva shagai, someone says, I'm going to the bathroom, can you just watch my stuff? The guy says, I'm only watching as a shemer chinam, but I'm not taking any other, no shemer sacha responsibility or anything like that. They give a whole, what do they, the Miranda things, they read to you the whole thing. A disclaimer. This Mishnah is going to give us 3 examples, which is almost the same thing. It's just repeating. We started off with pots. Now we're going to go to fruits, and then we're going to go to an animal. But it's the same thing. Why do we have 3 cases? That Taisus discusses. Each one is teaching me some chiddush. Okay. Someone brings in fruits to a courtyard without permission. I guess. And the owner's animal ate the fruits, just like the last case. He broke the pots. Over here, he ate the fruits, so he's pater. Didn't accept responsibility for them. So you put them there. I don't know. I didn't even know they were there. They're pater. But if they cause damage, those fruits, Then Balaperis Chai. We're going to see in the Gemara what type of damages those fruits could cause. Two basic possibilities.
Bananas.
The bananas, so that would be a one. There is another possibility Gemara is going to discuss, is that they cause damage because the animal overate and then gets sick. And then we'll see in the Gemara. Interesting that not necessarily is our mission referring to that. But over here, the Balaperis is going to be chayiv because they cause damage. And again, it's maybe a bar, maybe it's he was supposed to take responsibility for his items. If he had permission, the owner said, yeah, you can leave your strawberries here or bananas here. So then, balachatzer chayiv. Then, this is the opinion of the Rabbanan that hold that when he says you have permission to leave them here, he is also accepting responsibility that they won't become damaged. Third case, someone brings his animal into the courtyard of the balabayas without permission. Now the owner's ox, yesterday I was pulling out of the yeshiva, and there was this lady walking her dog. There was this guy that seemed to be coming the other direction, and the dog, like, it was half the size of the guy, but it jumped up on the guy. I don't know. I couldn't figure out, is that playing or is that it looked so aggressive. It could be it was playing, but anyway, and the guy, I don't know. I couldn't figure it out exactly what was going on. It was like a commotion, tumultuous, like. Okay, so here's the guy. He brings his ox in, and the ox of the balabayas, or the animal, or the dog of the balabayas, of the balachatzer, harms the animal that wasn't supposed to be there. So he's pater. Let's say the opposite. Let's say he goes and he harms this ox that wasn't supposed to be there. Now goes and harms the owner's ox. Then he's going to be chayav, like we said before, right? Because he was supposed to be guarding his animal. Now we added one case here. Let's say it falls into a pit and it spoils the water in the pit.
What falls?
The ox. It spoils the water that's in the pit. So he has to pay for the damages, right? Was supposed to be there. His ox damages someone else's property. Let's say the owner of the courtyard, someone was in that pit going to the mikveh, his father, son, and the animal falls in. So then the person could have died or did die. Shalom as a kaifer, he would have to pay just exactly what would happen. This is considered, it's not keren. It wouldn't be like a chatzi kaifer. This would be it just trampled or fell. So this would be regel. I guess this full kaifer. Actually, the Gemara is going to say it's a tam, so we'll have to get into it. We have that last clause of all of these cases.
Doesn't it say that you have to put a fence around God?
A pool or a pit. By a death. That was
That was a
machlekes.
debate.
That was machlekes.
So because he came over without permission, he's not liable.
No, because he
No,
came
he
in
said
without
yes.
permission, he is liable.
Because he said you can stay in my.
Well, 1 second. Now, if he gives permission for the animal to come in, then Baal Chatzar Chayev, the owner of the Chatzar, is going to be Chayev if damages happen to the ox itself that came in. Because when you said that you can bring the ox in, he meant to say also that I'm accepting responsibility, it won't get damaged, at least by his own property.
What about?
Is there an idea here that lechatchila you're not allowed to go into somebody else's property without permission?
Yeah, but it's not really discussing that. It's not discussing the trespass.
That's only an aventura.
The Moshe says that's only an aventura. Here we're discussing the responsibility of your items that are in someone's property where they don't belong. That's the main discussion here. Rebbe Yaimer, Bekulin and Chayva Shekabel of Lishmar. Rebbe's opinion is that if a person says, yes, you can leave them here, that does not mean that I'm taking responsibility and I'm going to protect them. According to Rebbe, you can leave them here means you can leave them here. That's it. But are they going to be protected from my cat and my dog and everything else? That I don't know. That I didn't. Okay. Now the Gemara says, Taima. One of the things that we mentioned over here was that if it causes damage, then the owner of the pots, we'll go back to case number one. If someone gets hurt by those pots, the owner of the pots has to pay for the damages. We said could be a bar, could be it's just his responsibility to guard his possessions, that they don't cause damage. Time of the shleibishus. What's the reason why he has to pay for the damages? Because the person, at least in the original case, the owner did not give him permission to put them there. Therefore, when they cause damage, excuse me, he has to pay. But let's say the owner did give him permission to put them there. So we didn't discuss this at all. We only discussed if he gives permission to leave the pots there, then the owner is taking responsibility that those pots won't get broken, according to the Rabbana. According to Rebbe, he didn't really take that responsibility. But now we're saying, what about if he has permission to put them there, but they cause damage to someone else?
Yeah.
So we said that
You mean like someone trips on it?
Someone trips on it. We said that if he doesn't have permission to put them there, then he's going to be chayiv, right? But if he does have permission to put them there, then then it sounds like he's going to be exempt. Right. Deriving something that did not necessarily imply this, but we don't say so there's a little bit of a stretch here, but what we're assuming, the assumption here is that there is a machlekes Rabbanan and Rebbe if there's an automatic acceptance of guarding just because there was a permission to be there. So what we're thinking is like this, that since Rebbe holds that, or since the Rabbanan hold, let's start with the Rabbanan, if there's permission for the pots to be here, that means that the owner of the property is taking responsibility, that he's not, that no damage is going to happen to those pots, right? He's going to make sure that they don't get broken. But there's also an assumption that now we're saying that the owner of the pots is also taking responsibility that they don't cause any harm to anyone else. But naturally, there should be that assumption. According to the Rabbanan, it should work both ways. He has permission to be there, means that they're not going to get hurt, they're not going to get damaged, and there's also a responsibility by the owner that they won't harm anyone else.
No bombs in the bed. That's not according to
That's a different era.
If he has permission, there's more of a responsibility on the owner.
Right. But at the same time, we're throwing in one more point, is that if we accept the Rabbanan's view, then it's much easier to impose responsibility on someone even though he didn't say he's responsible. That's the Rabbanan's view. So now what we're saying is that if there was permission for the pots to be there, we're saying that if it causes damage, the owner is not responsible. Why is he not responsible? The owner of the pots is not responsible if it causes damage. The owner of the courtyard is responsible that they don't get damaged because he took, right? But now we're saying that the owner of the pots is not going to be responsible for the damage that they caused. He was only responsible if there was no allowance of those pots to be there. But if there is allowance, we say that he doesn't accept responsibility. Now, isn't there an automatic acceptance of responsibility? It must be. It's following the opinion of Rebbe. Mani, who was that? Rebbe. It must mean that just because no one said anything, doesn't mean that he's accepting responsibility. That means that he's going to be exempt if damage happens from these pots when they're allowed to be there. When say it's going to be the owner of the courtyard himself that falls over the pots. So we're not saying he's responsible. We're saying that the owner of the pots is not responsible. Now, who would say that the owner of the pots is not responsible unless he clearly accepts that? That would only be Rebbe that would say that. Otherwise, according to the Rabbanan, there's an assumed responsibility that would take place. Right?
I would think that he's responsible for guarding them. You say you're fragile, so then he would be responsible, like guarding, make sure nobody trips him.
Yeah, but if the pot has oil in it and it leaks and it spoils the guy's courtyard, who's responsible? The guy who brought the pots in?
Yeah. Now you're saying that he had permission to put them there?
Yeah,
but he didn't have permission for them to
spoil the
leak.
house.
Yeah, spoil the house, right? Think of the
Now,
house.
he could intentionally kill the person for trespassing.
No, but that you'll see soon. You can't just kill him for trespassing. Yeah.
Sneaky.
Let's go further. So it turns out that the first part of the Mishnah, you see what's happening here. The Gemara is making an assumption that the first part of the Mishnah is going to be following the opinion of Rebbe. The next part of the Mishnah is going to be the Rabbanan. The end of the Mishnah, we're going to come back to Rebbe. There's no consistency to this Mishnah. Everything is inconsistent. No symmetry. Ema Seifa. Let's go further. If he has permission to put them there, if they get damaged, the owner of the courtyard is responsible. That's the Rabbanan's view. That there's an automatic acceptance of responsibility just by saying that, yeah, you have permission. And then it goes on. It says, we have the opinion of Rebbe. Rebbe holds that he's not responsible unless he clearly accepts responsibility. The Gemara says, turns out, he didn't accept responsibility, at least the owner of the pots didn't accept responsibility in the Reisha, which means that's the opinion of Rebbe. The Seifa, the last case, is the opinion of Rebbe. He has to accept clearly responsibility. And the middle is the Rabbanan. Amar Rab Zera Tavra. Rab Zera says, well, you have to break up this Mishnah. Misha Shanazu, Le Shanazu. That there were different opinions of what the Rabbanan held. And we're going to have to divide this up. You're right. It's going to be, it's not going to be consistent. Rava says Kul Rabbanan. Rava says, actually, the entire Mishnah is the Rabbanan until it gets to Rebbe. Rishus,
meaning Mitzias as well.
Yeah, well, even the Reisha, which means the Mitzias, yeah. The new Coke, which is not the old Coke. Rishus, when he says that he's taking, he has permission to be there, that was the last case, right? Shmiras Kedeiris Kibel of Balachatzer, Afilin Nishbru Bruach. What he means to say, the Gemara doesn't spell this out the whole way. What he means is that when the owner is accepting permission, is allowing for the pots to be there, he's allowing that he's going to take responsibility for all mishaps that happen to these pots, even if it's just the wind that causes the damage. That's the Rabbanan's view, not Rebbe. The Rabbanan's view. That because he gave permission to be there, he's also accepting responsibility that no harm is going to happen to them. Now, yeah, it would have to be prepared. Now,
even hurricane, you had to put it inside. That should break.
Probably not a hurricane. Probably just means just the basic responsibility of any normal. Now, what the Gemara is not spelling out is the other side of this. But when the owner of the pots is putting them down, he's not accepting on himself anything.
Right.
So the idea over here is that when there's permission to put the pots there, we said that there was automatically, according to the Rabbanan, then he should have accepted on himself to also watch those pots to make sure they don't cause any damage, because according to the Rabbanan, there's an assumed responsibility. They're saying no. Because the owner of the courtyard is taking over the responsibility, there's no responsibility on on the one that's putting the pots there to watch that they don't cause damage. So he's taking on the responsibility of that they're not going to get damaged, and let's say they cause damage, the owner of the pots is not responsible. Okay.
It's not like he declared that he was responsible. That's what he was.
It's not, even though he's not declaring that he's responsible, it's automatic that he's accepting on himself, which absolves the owner of the pots. Okay. It's funny, the Gemara had a question. Like the question was like, if you really want to push, I can ask a question over here. And then the Gemara says, well, why are you pushing that? You know. Okay. Naftali, you wanted to ask something?
I do. I'm kind of wondering why we just don't use the phrase Shom Rechinam as to the Balabayas of the Chatzer who's, doing a favor for somebody. Because we've already had that.
I'm not sure. Not sure. Does a Shem Rechinam takes over responsibility for damages to the item and also for damages that the item will cause? Right? That's what we said by an ox. It says Nasnu L'Raya or something, Nasnu L'Shemer. So the Shemer takes over the obligations of the owner to guard it. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Hichnas Pireis of L'Chatzer Balabayas. If the second case was he brings fruits into the courtyard. First case was pots, the second case was fruits. So the halacha that we said, just 1 second, let me mute this. The halacha that we said was that if they cause damage, then the owner of the fruits is responsible for the damages. Amar Rav says, Rav is the first generation Amari, comes in and he qualifies. What do you mean that it causes damage? The damage that it would cause, like Ramesha said, it was bananas, slipped on the bananas. But if the animal of the chotzer comes in, the dog or whatever, and eats too much of the fruits that were there. I think dogs aren't supposed to eat chocolate or something. There's something, whatever. There was some fruits there that it wasn't supposed to eat. So then Potter, the owner of the fruits is going to be Potter, even though he didn't have permission to put them there. But the reason for that is, my time, what's the reason? He says, look, I wasn't supposed to put my fruits there. When they cause damage, I'm responsible. But if the guy himself goes and does something foolish and overeats on my food, I'm not going to be responsible for that. Right? Someone goes to a restaurant and overeats something and walks out. Can he sue the restaurant? No, you say you ordered too much, you ate too much. It could be if he chokes on if he chokes on something that he can claim that you had a dangerous piece of fish, meat, or something. You can probably make a claim on that, probably in America. I don't know, but just to overeat or something, he's not responsible. So, the animal shouldn't have eaten. Amar Rav Sheshes says, Amina, I would say, the Rab was asleep when he said this statement. He was not, he didn't think it through all the way. Because the Tanya was taught in a brisa. If someone puts poison down in front of his friend's animal, right? But it poisons the animal.
It is where?
And just on the street. The animal's on the street. He says, oh, I hate that dog. It always, whatever, I don't know. And so he puts down some poison over there. So it says that the animal comes along and eats the poison. So he didn't actually shoot the animal. He just left food over there that, no, I shouldn't say food. He left poison there and the animal ate it. So he's going to be exempt. Why? Because he didn't do direct damage. Just the animal came and ate it. So the Gemara says, the reason why he's exempt is because it wasn't food, it was just poison. boric acid. Aval Paris. Let's say it was just on the street. Aval Paris, but let's say he actually put fruits that were poisonous. So then David Achla, then Bedini Adam Namim Machayev, put down fruits that were, that were
Someone spikes
you couldn't really, spiked, right? So then he would be responsible because the animal doesn't guard himself from not eating, and so therefore that would be considered direct damage.
What if you have all the mice at your house and put food that will poison the company?
So then, who's the owner of the mice?
No, but he said, what happens if the dog comes and eats that poison?
Oh, if the dog eats the poison.
Would be liable, no? Because he meant to kill the rat
No.
and he ended up killing the dog. His intention was the same.
No,
No, I would say no.
not at
I
all.
would say no.
That was before.
He had a sign, it said, dogs, stay away. Poison
Before
rats.
it was about the intention. Like if he meant to kill one person and he killed another, he's liable.
No, it wasn't.
That was actually a machlekes. That was actually a machlekes. But over here,
Animals don't necessarily eat poison, per se. That's why you're not high with it.
We learned earlier, animals to gore, let's say, subject A and gores B by mistake. We learned it wasn't,
right?
But that's
But then we
manual.
say about an animal, if it wanted to gore one and it ended up goring another. We said it was liable or not liable.
It's more about the intention.
No, that's the thing. It's not. That's he still stays calm. He's not involved. Right. So if he did not intend to kill a person, and he
Miskaban la'argas a behema v'hargas adam, he's going to be pater.
right, still potter. So in this case, the dog died. He's potter. Right. So
It's pater mimisa l'chayev b'kaifer.
first, right? So he doesn't stay with. He stay with whatever dog food that you put poison in. Right. That's what you'd be chayav. That's what he's saying. But here he says that you're putting poison deliberately because you want to kill something. Mice. The dog went.
That machlekes Reb Shimon and Miskaban
Dog's
la'argas
fault.
v'hargas.
No.
Okay.
He didn't read this.
When we say pater here, is like pater of alas or just no? Just pater.
Yeah, it says pater midini adam chai b'din shama. We're talking about the poison. So he was pater from in the court of law, but in heaven there's still some responsibility there. So now, Shalom is asking if you put out poison for one animal, it kills a different animal. So the Gemara says that it's only if it's poison, but if it would be actual food, so then you would be responsible. So what we're saying here is, why is Rab exempting the person that puts the fruits there that cause damage to the owner? It's just fruits. He can't control himself from not eating. So he's gonna, if it would be poison, he would be responsible based on that price. If it would be poison, if a poisonous food, he would be responsible. Poison that's not food, then he wouldn't be responsible. On the brisa, the question is, why is he responsible? Tell the animal, don't eat it. Amri, the Gemara answers, but the chiddush over here is the truth. We thought that it was implying that if he would have put out food, he would be responsible because he's exempt if he puts out poison. We were assuming that meant that food would be chayav. The truth is, what it meant was, if he puts out poison, he's pater midini adam. The chiddush is that he's chayav b'dini shamayim, but not that he would be chayav if there would be food. There's two ways we could pull that. He said if he puts out poison, he's pater midini adam v'chayav b'dini shamayim. What's the chiddush? It's only poison that's pater, but food would be chayav. Or we could go the other way. We could say food is also pater. The chiddush is that poison is chayav b'dini shamayim. So we're saying now, Kamash Malon, the chiddush is tafil sama mavas namid la yavid dachal chayav b'dini shamayim. Chiddush is that poison, even though, just because he used lead paint or something, so nevertheless he's still chayav b'dini shamayim.
We learned the other day that if Ruvain wants to kill Shimon and shoots at him, but hits Levi. Kills
Right.
Levi.
Right.
He's responsible.
Like Reb Shimon and
That was with members when they went.
All right. So why is this different or the same?
killed the wrong guy. Puts out poison. He's attempting to kill the animal. The animal dies.
Right.
You say that he's exempt. He's exempt. It's the animal's fault.
So if
It's
he
a-
puts out
it's a
poison,
it's a goyim. It's a goyim.
puts-
The reason why he's exempt is because of the grama, not because of who he attempted to kill. Your case is a discussion of you didn't intend for this direct person, you intended for someone else. So that was machlekes Reb Shimon and Rabbana.
Right.
But over here, the exemption has to do with grama. It was indirect. It was caused.
Does it not have does it not have anything to do with the fact that in the case the dog did some action by itself?
Yeah. But that's why. Since it wasn't his own action, it was the dog's action. So
Right,
then
so
he's not
Levi-
the one that directly did it.
Right, so Reuben trying to kill Shimon, but instead kills Levi. It's not Levi didn't do anything to get killed.
You're saying if it's a direct action, like shooting a gun?
No, I'm just saying I don't think it's similar at all. That's all I was saying. I was trying to understand the difference.
Right. No, it's over here. It just has to do with grama. He didn't actually cause it. What was the original? Like a case of grama was someone left the ladder, going up to someone else's bird cage. Now all the squirrels and all the cats can run up. So he didn't actually do the damage. He just left the ladder there,
Right.
or he put the ladder there maybe. So who did the damage? That was the cat. That was the squirrel. I didn't do that. So he would be chai b'din shemayim. Not
negligence.
it's negligence, but it's not. It's indirect damage. Knox intended to kill this person. An animal that killed a person is not stoned unless its intention was to gore a person from it would be liable to be killed by stoning. Consequently, if an ox intended to kill an animal but killed a person instead, or if it intended to kill the Gentile but killed a Jew, or intended to kill a non-viable baby but killed a viable person, it is exempt from being put to death. Yeah, that was the Mishnah. If it intended to kill a specific person whom it would be liable to be killed by stoning, even if it is killed a different person instead, it is liable to be stoned in accordance with the unattributed opinion of the Mishnah and contrary to the opinion of Reb Shimon. Yeah.
And that would be
Could be. It was the anonymous opinion.
This one is it based on the intention? You wanted to kill it, doesn't matter if you wanted to
Right.
kill.
Right. But here it's not a what's it called? It's an indirect damage though. Okay. So that's where we're holding right now, where we answered up for Rav that we would say that he's really exempt, even if it would be food, he would be exempt. Just didn't look like that in the Brisa because the Brisa was telling you a different chiddush. If you want, you could say differently. Samamavas, when the Brisa said if someone puts poison out, he's exempt. We thought that the poison that he put out was boric acid or something that's not even edible. And but if it would be food, he'd be chayiv. That was our assumption. Said no. We're talking about the poison that he put out was a food. It was some food. I don't know exactly what it is. They don't teach this to you. This is the what was that? The cookbook. That book that was like banned. I forgot what it's called. The anarchist cookbook. That was a book.
Some foods are like
They don't tell you what exactly it is. But afrasta. It's a type of grass. Yeah.
Some foods are like poison. For example, like parrots, they can't eat avocado.
Oh, yeah.
You know that.
I don't know if they know that, but
Uh-huh. So we're talking about over here where it is a food, and he's still going to be pater. So Rav is actually correct according to this, because Rav says that when is the person responsible for the fruits that cause damage? That's only if it was damage not by overeating, but if it's damaged by eating, then we say that it's his problem. Okay. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. A woman is going to use the mill of a homeowner without permission. So she has her own wheat that she's taking in. It's her wheat, but she's using a mill without permission. Now, while she's there, doesn't notice, but the animal of the owner's animal comes in and just gobbles up on the wheat that's coming out the other side. So, pater, the balabais is pater for the wheat. He's pater, right? This was like if he brings in like the Mishnah, so, like he brought in without permission, so you're exempt. Vim huska, but if the animal gets damaged, chayabes, the animal is going to be, then the woman is going to be responsible for causing the damage. Now, 1 second. Rav said that the animal is only going to be, that the owner is only going to be responsible if it got damaged, not by eating. The Gemara says, Vamai, it shouldn't have ate so much wheat. The animal was supposed to be gluten-free and ate all that wheat. It was, it got sick. So, according to Rav, you could blame it on the animal. Why are you blaming it on the person? The Gemara says, why are you even bringing this up as a question? You had the exact same case in the Mishnah. And the way you learned the Mishnah, according to Rav, was that he slipped on it, not that he ate it. Now, all of a sudden over here, you have a problem. You're saying that he ate it. So why do you have to learn the Mishnah? Why do you have to learn the Brisa that he ate it? Say exactly the way we explain the Mishnah, that he slipped on it. Slipped on it. She's responsible. The Gemara says, you're so right. I don't even know what we were thinking. With the Karila, my Karila, what was it? We even thinking that we should ask this question? Rav had explained the Mishnah perfectly to avoid this problem. He could have explained the Brisa exactly the same way. Amri, say like this. I'm sorry. Amalach, we say, when he said it got damaged by them, that extra word by them made us understand that it slipped on it. It was the bananas or something. Over here it doesn't say it got damaged by them, it just says got damaged. You think, oh, got damaged. It doesn't say by them. We think that it's talking about that it ate it. Got damaged means that it ate too much. That's what it sounds like. And the one that asked the question, or the one that answered the question, says Leishna, says there's no difference. There's no difference between if it says by them or not by them. So you could always explain it the way Rav explained it. I'm talking about that it's got slipped on it. Tashima, come and listen. Someone brings his ox into a courtyard and there's no permission for the ox to be there. And it eats a lot of wheat in the courtyard. The hitris gets diarrhea. Umes, and it dies. So Potter, the owner of the courtyard is exempt. If he had permission to be there, then Balachatzer Chayev, the owner of the courtyard is Chayev. Why is the owner Chayev? It's not his fault. The animal shouldn't have eaten. Rava says, you realize what you just did? You just asked a question from someone that had permission to be there, and you're asking it on someone that didn't have permission to be there. We were talking about a case where there was no permission for those fruits to be in that courtyard. The owner of the courtyard's animal ate too much. We said that we're exempt. There was no permission to be there. Now we're talking about there's permission to be there, and it's eating. Not the animal had permission to be there, and it's eating the fruits of the balabayas. It's exactly the opposite case. So over here, when he says to come inside, according to the Rabbanan that argue on Rebbe, when he says yes, you can bring your ox in, he's saying I'm going to accept responsibility of that ox. He's accepting responsibility, however that ox is going to get damaged, even if it overeats, even if it hangs itself. He was accepting responsibility.
Really?
He was accepting full responsibility. Sometimes they get caught in their own leash and different
I
things.
saw that one.
Yeah.
I saw a horse. I opened the door in a stable. There was a horse strangled. Now, who accepts responsibility? The owner of the stable or the owner of the horse that tied it up in the home so that it strangled itself? Usually you would just leave the horse in the cell. Stable.
If there was permission to be there, according to this, he would have accepted responsibility. The owner, the owner of the stable.
The stable owner.
Yeah.
I feel practically speaking, if owner grants another party permission to be in the domain, he's not necessarily implying that he's going to take responsibility. He should say,
Right.
you have
Right.
permission, but I don't have
Right.
responsibility.
That's
So he
the
has to
opinion.
add-
That's the opinion of Rebbe.
Oh.
The Rabbanan hold that when you said that I could put it there, that meant that you were taking responsibility.
So if Rebbe just ends right there.
Yeah, it ends right there. Just you could put it there, but it's your responsibility to make sure nothing happens.
In America, the owner is always responsible.
The owner of the location.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Let's
It's
say
in your
that-
house. It's
Yeah, even if, let's say someone has a pool in the backyard, some kid jumps the gate and goes into the pool.
If you get that, the robber comes into your house and slips, he sues you.
It's in America.
That's when you go into a garage and they have in the slip, we don't take any responsibility for whatever happens to your car.
And another case, in Peru, you have a crop growing. You want to put poison down to kill the rats that are going to eat your crop, right? You can't do that because the birds that will eat the dead rats will die. And who's responsible for that causality?
Oh,
That's the second one.
wow.
So as a result, they weren't allowed. The environmentalists said, you can't poison them.
Poison.
The farmers say, wait a minute, I'm going to lose my crop. Who cares about the birds? Birds of prey that are going to eat the dead rats that are poisoned.
Right.
So what do you
You
do?
have a good claim.
Who?
Everyone.
All right.
You lose your
Baila.
crop.
I have a question. Let's say he accepts on himself that he's going to protect the animal that's brought in. I think the Gemara is asking according to Rebbe or according to the Rabbanan. I'm not sure. Yeah, whichever way. The Gemara is asking on both. Either it's according to the Rabbanan, where it's naturally he's accepting responsibility, or according to Rebbe, where he actually clearly accepts responsibility. What type of responsibility is he accepting? Is he saying, he's saying that, look, I know I have some cats and dogs in this, but don't worry, you can put your animal here, and I'm going to make sure that my cats and dogs don't harm it. Or he's even accepting on himself that no cats and dogs are going to jump over the fence from the other side and also not cause damage, which are not his at all. So Tashima, come and listen. This is a question. Is he accepting from the outside or just from the inside? That responsibility. Well, Rabbi Yehuda, the Tani Rabbi Yehuda Bar Simon ben Ezak in the Beit Karna. Yeah, Rabbi Naftali. Apparently, there was another set of brises in the yeshiva of Karna that the following was taught in that set. We don't have it in ours, but it was in another set of brises. Nazikin, where do you buy this? This one, you got to go to Beagle-Eisen. So he sells like rare books and stuff no one else can find. So anyway, if you bring your fruits into a courtyard, into someone's courtyard without permission, and then an ox comes from another place and eats them, pater. Okay. But if you had permission to be there, then he's chayev. Man pater, man chayev. Who's pater? Who's chayev? Lav pater balachatzer, v'chayev balachatzer. It must be that we're talking about the owner of the courtyard. If you had permission to be there, then the owner of the courtyard accepted on himself. Then no stray animals are going to come in and cause harm to your fruits. You see, we have an answer to the question. Umar says, "Amri loy." It's not the case. Pater balashar v'chayev balashar. We're talking about the ox, that stray ox that came in. He's going to be the one that's going to be pater, or he's going to be chayev, depending on if there was permission for the fruits to be there. Says what?
Wow.
Ibalashar, my bershus, my shlei bershus. No one even mentioned that shar should have permission or not permission. What does it have to do? Permission of the fruits to be there, not Has nothing to do with the ox that jumped over a fence. The cow that jumped over the moon. In my Amri, we say it like this. If there was permission for the fruits to be there, then it's considered eating in the domain of the victim. That's why it's going to be chayev. If there's permission, he's chayev because it's not eating in a public domain; it's eating in a private domain because there was permission for those fruits to be there. But if there weren't permission for the fruits to be there, then it's as if it's shein b'shus rabban because it's not b'steyacher. It wasn't where those fruits belong. So shein b'shus rabban paturo. It's a stretch, but we figured out a way of. We didn't answer the question yet. Tashema. Let's do one more. If someone brings his ox into someone's courtyard without permission, and an ox jumps over the fence inside this guy's domain and gores it, he's going to be exempt. The ox that gored it. The first ox wasn't supposed to be there. He had no permission to be there. But if the ox had permission to be there, then he's going to be chayev. Man pater man chayev. Who's pater? Who's chayev? In this lav pater bal chatzar v'chayev bal chatzar, we must be talking about that the owner of the courtyard doesn't have to pay if the ox got damaged because he didn't have permission. The owner of the courtyard does have to pay if he did have permission to be there. Like is like pater bal chatzar v'chayev bal chatzar. We're talking about the ox that came in from the outside. He's the one that's going to be pater. The one that's have to do with permission for the first ox to be there. Has nothing to do with him. He wasn't supposed to be there either. Amri, say Hamani, Reb Tarfani, we're following the view of Reb Tarfan. Tarfan had a view. He says, an ox that gores in the public domain is chatzi nezek. In the private domain, it's full price. If there's permission, then it's considered nezek shalim for that ox to be there. So so it's nezek shalim in the chatzin. If there was no permission, then when it says pater, it doesn't really mean pater. It means pater from nezek shalim, pater from full payment, but he has to pay the partial payment. Okay, we'll leave it over here.
We left off at
Yeah, there was a woman.
There was a.
Are we learning tonight? We are a page behind, right?
Yeah.
You want to learn tonight? Let me send a message out. Check your text. I'm not sure what my situation is going to be.
If it works, now what time?
If it would be tonight, it would be at the Kaila. Does that make sense? At the 8:30. Yeah, I'm not going to be back. I might have. I'm going to be in Nishi. I don't think I'm going to be back. Yeah, if we learn, it'll be at the Kaila.
It's downstairs.
Thank you.
Shalom. Okay, have a good day. Shalom. Okay.
170.
No, at the Thursday night Kaila.